Hi, everyone. My name is Josh, and I am the co-host of the Fantasy Football Game Show. We are streaming every weekday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Yes, I said every weekday at 3 o'clock. We love having a good time and playing fantasy-related games, so come on and join us sometime. But on Monday, we did a mock draft, and today I want to highlight a few teams that stood out to me. Just to go over the league settings, this is a redraft 12-team PPR tight end premium league. And for those of you that might not know, tight end premium means that a tight end gets an additional half point per catch. So if a wide receiver or running back get a catch, they get 1 point. But if a tight end gets a catch, they would get 1.5 points. This is just a way to help make tight ends a little bit more relevant for fantasy. But without further ado, let's hop into this mock draft. So there were a few teams that stood out to me. I don't want to go over all the teams here, but the first team I want to highlight here is Anthony Leone's team. All right. I hope I didn't butcher the last name too bad. Let me know, Anthony. But if we just bring it up here, as you can see, we start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and 3 flex. While having 2 bench, typically there would be more bench, but we didn't want to extend the time too much and draft a full team for this mock draft. But I love Anthony's team here. Dak Prescott. Oh my God. Dalvin Cook, Antonio Gibson, Deandre Hopkins, Robert Woods, Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki, Robert Tonyan, Michael Pittman, Raheem Mostert. This is a great starting lineup. First round, we're starting off with Dalvin Cook. In redraft leagues, he's the second running back off the board for me, right behind Christian McCaffrey. So for him to get him at 1.4, that is absolutely a great value. I know this is a tight end premium league, so some of the tight ends got pushed ahead. Kyle Pitts and Travis Kelce going before him. I agree with Travis Kelce here. Kyle Pitts may be a little bit of a reach for a redraft league. But anyway, Dalvin Cook, great value. Coming around second round, getting Antonio Gibson. I know during the draft, John Luke, FYF John Luke, was getting some crap from the chat saying that he should have drafted Antonio Gibson over Joe Mixon. They're about the same tier for me, but I still love the value of Antonio Gibson here. He is primed to have a fantastic season in that offense. But we come down Deandre Hopkins in the third round, an elite tier 1 receiver. To get him in the third round, this is perfect. Following it up in the fourth round with Robert Woods, pair him with Matthew Stafford this year with the Rams. Robert Woods is going to have a hell of a year. I'm willing to kind of project he's about to have the best year of his career. So again, value in the fourth round. Coming to the fifth round, Jamar Chase. I really love Jamar Chase's upside. Now, is there a floor? And the floor is pretty low in my mind. But Jamar Chase paired with Joe Burrow, they played together in college and they love each other. Joe Burrow was a pretty significant reason that they drafted Jamar Chase. They had so many offensive line issues. They went with Jamar Chase, and I think the pairing is going to be great. I think Jamar Chase's ceiling is through the roof. Like I said, he could be a top 12 receiver this year. And if that's the case, Anthony's team just skyrocketed even more. And then this is really maybe the biggest value of the draft. Dak Prescott in the 6th round. Wow. I think Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, you could make the argument they're all 5th round picks. I mean, I know this is a tight end premium league, so Noah Fant got pushed up, but the rest of the tight ends you're going to see it go above these guys typically anyway. But Dak Prescott, 609 pick. I love this. Dak Prescott, we all know he had a pretty horrific injury last year, but I am expecting such a good season from him this year. I don't think he's going to run quite as much as he did in the past, but he has better weapons than he's ever had. So can't complain there. And like I said, this is a tight end premium league. Anthony did wait some time to grab his first tight end, which is Mike Gesicki in the 7th round. But again, value. Mike Gesicki is just an athletic freak. I think he's primed to have a good season himself. And following up with Robert Tonyan, I think this was a great pick because, Mike Gesicki has no lock whatsoever. Robert Tonyan he was either the 3rd or 4th highest scoring tight end last season. If Aaron Rodgers plays, this is a steal of a pick. I feel like there's a theme here. Steal, right? Following it up with Michael Pittman in the 9th round. I am a big Michael Pittman fan. Anthony, I don't know if you made this team for me because I'm fans of all these guys, but this is just a good team in my opinion. Michael Pittman, he was a rookie last year. He had some games with high targets, but never really put much together. But I expect him coming into year 2. He's a big-bodied receiver. Pair him with Carson Wentz. I think he's going to get a lot of targets. Followed by Raheem Mostert. steal. Just the starting running back for the 49ers. Now, if he can stay healthy, he is another athletic freak. He can run very fast. But I love Raheem Mostert. We're in the 10th round. What? This is a great value. Mecole Hardman, upsides through the roof, and J.D. McKissic, pass catching specialist for the Washington football team. Anthony, great team. Love this team. All right, so I want to go from Anthony's team to another team I really wanted to highlight here, and that would be J-Wall's here. J-Wall started out with George Kittle, and let's just take a look at his lineup real quick. So let's scroll down. All right, J-Wall. So Russell Wilson, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, T. Higgins, Devonta Smith, Antonio Brown, George Kittle. He went for 2 tight ends, George Kittle. So he'd be starting T.J. Hawkinson every week in the flex, which I don't hate, but we'll get into that. James Robinson, Marvin Jones, Matthew Stafford, and Paris Campbell. So let's get into this. George Kittle. I love him in the first round, especially you're seeing Kelsey, Pitts, Waller all go in the top 5 picks. For Kittle to fall to the 1.09, you got to play your draft. This is a good pick here. Followed by Cam Akers, and we're not going to get into that. This draft happened before the Cam Akers injury, and that's not why I want to bring up his team. We can sub Cam Akers for Nick Chubb or Aaron Jones, whatever you want to do there. That's fine. Let's just pretend it is Nick Chubb real fast. This is a good pick, right? You can't complain the first 2 picks. J.K. Dobbins in the 3rd round, 3.9. Considering Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Antonio Gibson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift went at the top of the 3rd. I think this is fantastic value for J.K. Dobbins. All right. So I love the first 3 picks. We come to the 4th pick, and I think this is where maybe J-Wall made an error. I like TJ Hawkinson. I think he's going to have a fantastic season for a tight end. But when we're seeing the other guys who are getting drafted around him, Robert Woods, Chris Carson, David Montgomery, Julio Jones, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, Josh Jacobs. There is value at both running back and wide receiver that I think I would rather take even in a tight end premium league, because you only need to start 1 tight end. You need to start 3 wide receivers, and you need to start 2 running backs. He addressed his running backs very well, but his receivers, this is where it gets kind of weird. T. Higgins, I just gushed over Jamar Chase. I think he's going to have a great season. I think T. Higgins is going to have a solid season, but I think it's going to be inconsistent. Now, is he going to have big blow-up weeks? I really expect that. He's a big-body receiver. He's going to get touchdowns, but he is not going to get the same amount of targets that he got last season. I just don't think that's the case. I think Jamar Chase is going to become more the focal point of that passing game, and I think Joe Mixon's going to come in and take away targets himself. And they still have Tyler Boyd on that team, who is a target monster himself out of the slot. So I'm just having trouble seeing where T. Higgins fits in. I don't think he's going to have a bad season, just not a great season. And being your number 1 wide receiver, that scares me a little bit. And then we come back, Devonta Smith. Again, I love the player. I think he is going to have a fantastic career, but you're relying on a rookie as your second receiver when you have to start 3 of them. Again, I think he's going to have a great season, but I mean, a fine season. He'll get a lot of targets. It's a rookie wide receiver. We cannot trust him. Then you follow it up with James Robinson. Don't hate the pick, but I probably would have addressed wide receiver. I would have hammered more receiver. You have your 2 running backs, and I think that James Robinson, again, much like T. Higgins, he's going to have his weeks. He probably will have the most carries, but he really made his living last year being the main guy and getting all the work, all the targets for the running back, all the rushes for a running back. Now with Travis Etienne coming in, that's just not going to be the case. You're pairing him with Trevor Lawrence. Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, they were teammates. James Robinson's a fine pick, but with the way your team's formatted here, I just don't love it. And then Antonio Brown. I think that's a good pick. You needed to take Antonio Brown here. He is going to have a good season. He is probably the best value in my mind of all the Bucs wide receivers. Out of Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown, getting Antonio Brown in the 8th round, another year with that offense, another year with Tom Brady. We know Tom Brady likes Antonio Brown, and we know Antonio Brown is an elite receiver when he puts it all together. I know he's aging. Let's see what he can do. Actually have a training camp and everything with the Bucs. Marvin Jones is a fine pick. I still, I know a lot of people out there are saying, it's Chenault and then maybe Marvin Jones, and Chark might be the 3rd out of these guys. Maybe Marvin Jones always is historically undervalued. I'm fine with this pick. It's just, I'm just looking at receivers and I'm wanting more. And then we come down to Russell Wilson. This is a steal. Russell Wilson right here is a great pick. But then you come back in the next round where you kind of still need running back depth and maybe another wide receiver. And you took Matthew Stafford. I know if this was a normal draft, it would go deeper. But 2 quarterbacks when we only need to start one, I just don't love it. And then Paris Campbell, wrapping up with Paris Campbell. I think he has breakout potential, absolutely, with Carson Wentz. Maybe a lot of shorter targets and get him the ball in his hands. I mean, he just dealt with injuries the first 2 years of his career. He's coming into his 3rd season. He did a lot of draft capital. I think that the upside is absolutely there. J-Wall, I do not hate your team in any right. Well, now with Cam Akers getting hurt, maybe, but I do not hate your team. It's just I wanted to highlight, in a tight end premium league, just because you're getting that half point per catch doesn't mean you have to take 2 tight ends. But that's what mock drafts are for. We always say it. Mock drafts are for trying new things out. So I don't blame you for doing this. I love that you did it because it gave me something to talk about here. But all right. So there is one other team that I wanted to highlight here, and it's actually Swamp Nola's team. Swamp Nola. Starting out with Derrick Henry, I think it's a great value. Even in a PPR league, I am drafting Derrick Henry above Alvin Kamara just for this upcoming season. I don't think he's going to have more rushing yards than he did last year, but I think it's going to be darn close. I doubted Derrick Henry for not for the first couple years I was in, and then I was like, okay, he's just not doing anything. His yards per carry are so low. They're just not giving him the rock. He can't get anything going. He's not consistent. So I kind of gave up on him a while. I am out of that boat. I am all in on Derrick Henry. And then you got Stephon Diggs here. He just had a hell of a season with Josh Allen. He's going to have another hell of a season coming up. Keenan Allen, this is a steal. Another year with Justin Herbert. He is a PPR machine, and he didn't quite get 1,000 yards this year. I can't see a world where he doesn't get at least 1,000 yards, probably close to 100 catches. It's really the touchdowns. If touchdowns are there, Keenan Allen is a steal here. And then David Montgomery. Everyone's sleeping on David Montgomery, the number 4 overall running back last year. I know Tariq Cohen's coming back, but that does not scare me. David Montgomery is going to have a hell of a season. He's going to get a lot of catches. They want to work him. There was reports that he could get 20, 25 carries a game. Let's not get carried away. You're getting this guy in the 4th round. That's just great value. Now, I will say Kareem Hunt, I am not the biggest Kareem Hunt fan. I would have absolutely taken Myles Gaskin above Kareem Hunt, but I get it. I'm on the other side of the debate, the whole Kareem Hunt debate. I hate that he has Nick Chubb in front of him, and I hate that there's 2 very talented running backs, and he's the 2nd most talented. But I like that he added to his running back depth. If that was Myles Gaskin, this team would be just so far ahead in my mind. But hey, this is still fine. I'm talking about this team because I like it a lot. And then Kyler Murray. Again, we talked about it with Dak Prescott, and we could say the same thing for Lamar Jackson. I think these are all great values. Josh Allen went 501, and I think that's a round where you're going to start seeing these quarterbacks go. But we went through the whole 5th round and into the 6th with no other quarterbacks. And Kyler Murray here, for me, it would go Patrick Mahomes, believe it or not, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. And they're all like kind of in the same tier. I think Patrick Mahomes does separate himself. But Kyler Murray here, his rushing ability paired with having all these weapons. They just signed AJ Green. They have DeAndre Hopkins. They have Christian Kirk. They just drafted Rondale Moore. I think the offense is very creative. They're running a lot of plays. I'm excited for Kyler Murray this season. Follow it up with Jalen Waddle. I like the pick. There's some other receivers here that I like too. But Jalen Waddle, I do believe has more upside than all these guys. So if everything comes together for Jalen Waddle, it's really Tua for me. If Tua can bring it all together, and he is a great quarterback like we kind of envisioned when he was coming out of the draft before he had that hip injury, he's another year removed from that hip injury. I think that Jalen Waddle has all the talent in the world, and he's a great, great receiver. I mean, we saw it with the draft capital he received. And then Logan Thomas. Logan Thomas had a great season. I think people are sleeping on Logan Thomas. This is a tight end premium league. For him to get Logan Thomas in the 8th round, what a good value with the Washington football team. Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe he doesn't target the tight end quite as often as you would like, but I still expect Logan Thomas to definitely be in the top 10 tight ends this coming season. He followed up with Zach Moss. Then there's a split with Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. I get it. But if I'm choosing one of the two, it is Zach Moss for me. I believe, that last year was his rookie season, and he just slowly, more and more started taking more and more work away from Devin Singletary. So with another year under his belt, he's coming into a second season. I think Devin Singletary is a little bit more explosive maybe, but Zach Moss can kind of do everything. So I'm excited for Zach Moss. Then Corey Davis very well could be the wide receiver 1 for the New York Jets. We don't really know what that means yet. We got to see what happens with Zach Wilson. But if he can put it all together, Corey Davis was one of the highest rated wide receivers last year. So I think Corey Davis has a lot of talent. He's been in slow, inefficient offenses until the last couple seasons, and he kind of showed what he could do. He's not going to be a top 20 receiver, but he's going to give you flex value, I think, every week. And then look, he got Devin Singletary, he paired Devin Singletary with Zach Moss. And I know there's people on both sides of the fence, but if you could get a whole running back group late in a normal 12-team league, I don't hate that. If one of these two guys get injured, you know what you have. You have a top 20 running back in my mind, pretty much, in that high-powered offense. And if one running back's getting all the work, that running back is going to have a hell of a season. All right. And then finishing it up, drafting another tight end with Austin Hooper. That Cleveland offense, people are projecting super awesome things. I don't love the Austin Hooper pick. I'd actually rather have someone like Evan Ingram and say what you will about Evan Ingram. It's just Austin Hooper. He has guys behind him, Njoku, Harrison Bryant, that I think they're going to start eating into his targets. But all in all, Swamp, this is a beautiful team. There were a lot of good teams that were drafted. Just so you guys know, I was not part of this draft. I just hosted. But that's everything I wanted to go over today. Thank you for coming in. I just want to remind you guys, we are streaming every weekday at 3 o'clock. Fantasy Football Game Show. We play games. We have a good time. We have guests come in almost every show, and I think you'd really enjoy it. Find us on YouTube at Front Yard Fantasy. Follow me on Twitter at FYFJosh. Have a great night.